let's skip the long intro. I'm just going to tell you who's coming back in the final Chapter 5. We're going to talk about both the most important ones and those who have been unfairly forgotten. But to keep things a little more intriguing, I'll be grouping them into categories and picking out which ones are definitely alive and which ones are still up in the air. Hope that didn't confuse you, but I promise it'll all make sense as you watch. Also, make sure to watch till the end to help the channel grow even more. Now let's start with the well-known smiling critters. We already know exactly what went down with Catnap. And yeah, there's a slim chance he could return, but I'm almost 100% sure there won't be some kind of epic comeback. Now, Dog Day, that's a whole different story. We all saw what happened. He got swarmed by a bunch of tiny toys that completely took over his mind. And yeah, we never actually saw him die, but after what went down, the odds of him breaking free from the mini critter's control and surviving, pretty damn low. But what he said before it all went down really got me thinking.
Feel what feels empty inside themselves. That thing, Catnap. The prototype is his god, and this is what he does to heretics.
Dog Day straight up said we were there to save them. And since he 100% knew what Catnap really was, and no one else was shown to us, it's making me more and more sure he was talking about the rest of his crew. Now yeah, you could argue that he meant the ones fighting against the prototype. I mean, he did say he was the last of the smiling critters, but at the same time, there's a chance he just doesn't know what actually happened to the others and just assumes he's the last one left. And just to be clear, we're only talking about the Bigger Bodies initiative. Those tiny versions, nobody really cares about them. So I think it makes sense to start with the most relevant smiling critter right now, Hoppy Hopscotch. Hoppy's easily the most energetic one in the group. And honestly, that wild energy is probably what got fans thinking about how she might have died in the first place.
I'm Hoppy Hopscotch! Wanna try hopping to the moon with me? On three with me! 1, 2, 3! Heh, didn't get very far, did we? Again! 1, 2, 3! Nope, still didn't make it. Again! Again! Jump! Jump!
But let's be real. Most people noticed we never actually heard any attack sounds or anything like that. They straight up told us that Hoppy loves jumping and ain't scared of heights. So that scream and all that audio distortion at the end, probably just her jumping way too high. But things got way more interesting after Chapter 4 dropped. Cause in Doey the Doeman's story, we actually heard Hoppy on one of the VHS tapes.
I need some help here! Hey, watch the door! Watch the door!
Right here.
There you go, bud. You're okay. Okay! Look at me! I'm a mess!
Hoppy? What's going on?
We were trying to bring supplies back up to the elevator, but we got jumped. Had to turn all the way back around. They took everything we had. Right after one of them picked my leg! So, what do we do now?
For starters, you two stay here tonight. Let things settle down outside. I'll find more food for you to bring up to play care. When you're ready.
Thanks, Doey. Sorry we lost the supplies. It won't happen again.
Now we know that Hoppy was in safe haven and was kinda like a food scout, but at some point something attacked them and injured her partner. Most people are pretty sure it was Prototype. After that, one of the notes straight up said that Hoppy went missing, and this is where things get real interesting. Just because she disappeared doesn't mean she's dead. If we go back to what Dog Day said, yeah, he called himself the last one, but now we can see that last doesn't necessarily mean the only survivor. It's pretty hard to say exactly what happened to Hoppy, but for some reason, I'm pretty damn sure Prototype had something to do with it. And even if she's still alive, she's probably stuck in his labs, the same ones we're heading to in Chapter 5. Now let's talk about the rest of them. I think the best way to go about this is to start with the most obvious ones and slowly turn up the heat. Kickin' Chicken was basically the cool guy of the group, always trying to break out of Playcare. But now, let's take a listen to what he had to say.
It's looking pretty bad outside. I've never been outside before. Will you come with me? I'm scared. Here, follow me. I'll step out first.
I don't think this even needs much explaining. It's pretty damn obvious. Kickin' Chicken tried to pull off his plan, but someone took him out. And for some reason, most fans agree that the killer was Catnap. Bubba Bubba Fant was the smartest of the critters, and everything about his description backs that up. If he was really that smart, his chances of survival should have been way higher. But if you actually listen to his cardboard...
I'm Bubba Bubbaphant. Hey, I remember you. An elephant always remembers. Want to know what I remember about you?
Then it's pretty damn clear this guy didn't make it. I mean, y'all probably figured that out already since I've been talking about him in the past tense. And now, it's time to talk about one of the most interesting smiling critters. Trust me, her story's gonna blow your mind. Bobby BearHug. Aside from telling y'all that she was the sweetest and most compassionate of the bunch, we're also gonna take a listen to her cardboard.
Hi, I'm Bobby BearHug. Want to know how much I love you? I love you to the moon and back. I'm crazy about you. I'm lost without you. I've been lost a long time. Please, take me with you this time. You won't leave me, will you?
And this is the first time we don't hear anything suspicious. Yeah, Bobby is clearly scared of everything going on and doesn't want to be left alone, but there are no screams or disturbing noises on the audio recording. That alone kind of hints that she might still be alive. But that's just the beginning. At some point, we got a description of Experiment 1186, aka Bobby BearHug. That's when we found out that Bobby was the first of the smiling critters to go through these kinds of experiments and was actually one of the earliest subjects of the Bigger Bodies initiative. Several hours after awakening, she tried to stand and walk to the other side of the cell but couldn't keep her balance. She looks to be searching for help, continuing to spasm. She's trying to scream, but she has no voice. She's silent. I'm not sure if she knows she's not making any sound. Work will need to be done to perfect the bigger body formula we began with Boxy. Each iteration improves on the former. However, if we're to meet the goals of Dr. Sawyer and produce bigger body subjects that we can integrate into a factory setting, then more work will need to be done. As it stands, Bobby will require further experimentation. If we're to create subject 1188 according to schematics, then each of these smiling critters will prove a good testing ground for ironing out these issues. And judging by what we see in the photo, Bobby really did struggle to support her massive body at first. Since all these experiments were leading up to the creation of Experiment 1188, aka Catnap, it's pretty safe to say that every experiment before him was just a stepping stone in the search for the perfect formula. And considering Bobby was the first of them, it's fair to say that she suffered the most because of Catnap, even if not not directly. Taking all of this into account, plus the fact that her cardboard recording doesn't have anything suspicious, there's a real possibility that Bobby just went into hiding somewhere in the factory, waiting to be saved. We can't say for sure that she's still alive, cause in her condition and probably without food, she wouldn't have lasted this long. But hey, there's still a chance, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see her in Chapter 5. Let's not forget about the always hungry Piggy.
Let's eat. Roast beef, delicious. Grilled chicken, down the hatch. Seared elephant, yum. Played unicorn, mmm. Still hungry. Hey, what do you say you and I be friends?
This lady never fails to surprise me. But again, we don't hear any suspicious sounds. A lot of people know that pigs are omnivores, and Mob Entertainment really nailed that with Piggy. She's down to eat literally anything, including us, and since she's always hungry, we can guess that going without food would be a real struggle for her. Thinking back to what Doey said about, well, the food situation being non-existent, Piggy's chances of survival drop big time. But since we didn't hear anything bad at the end of her recording, it's totally possible she's still alive, just really weak. And that means there's a solid chance we'll run into her in Chapter 5. Now let's quickly talk about CraftyCorn.
I'm CraftyCorn. Can you help me with my painting? Pass me the blue, please. Thanks. Now, can you give me some red? More red, please. Out? But we can't be out. You're hiding more red from me. I know you are. Give it here! Now that's much better.
We hear static, but then the words keep going, which once again suggests that Hoppy didn't die during that recording. But what really surprised me about CraftyCorn is her insane obsession with red. And yeah, I think it's pretty obvious she's talking about that red gas, the one that basically puts you in a trance. I'm more than sure she's still alive, and honestly, our chances of running into her are some of the highest. The real question is, will she actually be useful to us? Considering her obsession with the red gas, I kinda doubt it. Maybe she'll drop some interesting lore bits, but that's probably it. And man, thinking back on the smiling critters and their wild backstory, how important they could have been to the plot. It just sucks that instead of expanding on them, the devs chose to focus on the nightmare critters, which, let's be real, were a total embarrassment. As we now know, many of the smiling critters are still alive. I didn't talk about Catnap on purpose since there's gonna be a much deeper explanation about him later. But for now, let's discuss one very interesting character who, despite everything, has a pretty high chance of survival. In the end, we straight up finished him off. Or maybe not. In this video, we're gonna break down the chances of Doey actually surviving. Spoiler, they're pretty high, and talk about how his comeback could seriously impact us. In one of the missions, we saw that Doey is terrified of the cold, which totally makes sense considering what he's made of. And it was that very same cold that let us stop him and, well, save our own skin.
You and Hoppy! It's all your fault! Want to kill you! Kill everyone who hurts me! Can't trust anyone! The gentle voices lie! You lie! I'm trying to be better, to be who they needed. Not smart enough, not good enough, not...
But right off the bat, something felt kinda off. Like, did we really take down an almost immortal monster that easily? I mean, not only can he squeeze through literally any opening, but he's also crazy strong. You probably figured that out yourself just by watching how effortlessly he tore Pianosaurus into pieces. And let's be real, it'd be way too simple if a big boy like that just died at the hands of the player just because he got hit with some cold in a press. Sure, those are solid reasons, but even right before his so-called death, we literally saw him still talking, which means he was very much alive. On top of that, we all know that kinda extreme cold ain't gonna last forever. Sooner or later, Doey's gonna thaw out. And since we never actually saw his frozen body shatter into pieces, there's a good chance that once he thaws, he'll just keep going like nothing happened. And that's where things get really interesting. We all remember exactly who Doey blames for what happened to Safe Haven.
You. It all started with you. You and her. It was you who ruined everything! No, that's not true. They jump-started the generator. They destroyed everything! I'll kill you!
But over time, we figured out that all that rage and negativity were really just coming from one test subject, Kevin. Meanwhile, Jack and Matthew still had a pretty positive attitude toward us. It's easy to say that even if Doey did survive, that's only gonna make things worse for us. Our last moments with him were, well, not exactly friendly. But there's still one thing Doey hates even more than us, and he straight up told us about it in the Playzone.
This was once a work yard, you know. A dozen of us, maybe two, would be here at any given time. They let us work. Whatever they wanted us to do, we'd do it. And for those of us who couldn't, or wouldn't, at night, when no one important was watching, they'd take them. Take them in here. We only got food for one of you this week. They say, which of you will it be? They watch out there. It was usually over within minutes. And the guards, they'd be hysterical. Nobody died. No, because then people would know. But the next day and every day after, they would work. Oh yeah, hard as they could. And they'd never cause trouble again.
And besides all those who made him suffer, mainly the scientists and guards, there were even some experiments Doey might hate more than us and Poppy. The events of Hour of Joy messed with every monster, no matter which side they ended up on. Everyone remembers what Poppy said, that the first days after that damn hour were pure hell, and the main reason for that was hunger. Even when we first met Doey, he straight up mentioned it. And once all the meat was gone, every toy had to start fighting to survive, including those in Safe Haven. And from what I gathered from one of the tapes, some of the Safe Haven residents were the ones constantly finding food. That same tape also dropped one very interesting detail.
You're okay. Okay. Look at me. I'm a mess.
Hoppy, what's going on?
We were trying to bring supplies back up to the elevator, but we got jumped. Had to turn all the way back around. They took everything we had. Right after one of them picked my leg.
How is he, Doc?
Not too bad. He'll live.
See?
Keep bite clean. Could get infected otherwise.
So, what do we do now?
The prototype, or at least one of his goons, was constantly hunting down the good monsters and not only stealing their food, but straight up trying to kill them whenever possible. So of course, Doey hated the one responsible for all of this, the prototype. Now, if Doey did survive the events of Chapter 4, he's got a huge problem ahead of him. He's left with only 3 choices. Keep chasing us down and trying to kill us, except that we're not actually the bad guys and switch to our side, or go full-on loner and turn against everyone. And considering there's like a 95% chance that Chapter 5 will be the final game, the idea of Doey joining us and actually helping us out again seems like the most logical outcome. Now let's take a step back and remember why Doey was so against Poppy's plan to destroy Playtime Factory in the first place.
The toys out there in Safe Haven, they're my family. I understand what Poppy wants, what she believes is right. Destroy the factory, destroy him. But I ask you to consider, if we throw everything away, everyone, just to kill the prototype, how much do we waste? I know the others might believe it's right, that we should bury everything, but let's just think about it.
And as hard as it is to accept, Safe Haven is gone. That means everyone Doey loved and protected is dead, all because of the prototype. And since Safe Haven was the only thing really holding him back, now there's nothing stopping him from wiping out everything that reminds him of those horrific events. Considering just how insanely powerful Doey is, his help in either fighting the prototype or pulling off Poppy's one and only plan would be huge. But Doey himself has pointed out more than once that the plan to blow up the Foundation and eventually the entire Playtime Co facility is insanely dangerous for everyone. So now the big question is, how does Doey go from a crazed murderous maniac hellbent on killing us to a hero we'll never forget? And that's where a certain recorded conversation between Jack's parents and Doey comes into play.
Who are you?
Jack? Honey, it's me. It's Mommy.
Mommy?
Yes. Yes! It's Mommy and Daddy. You remember, don't you?
Leave me alone.
Hey, you'll be okay, I promise. Mommy's only here to talk.
No, I don't want to talk. Get out!
Susan, I think we should leave.
Jackie, I'm staying right here. I'm not leaving you, not ever again. Do you hear me?
The gentle voices lie. I know what they do. They lie, and they poke, and they hurt. Susan, get away from me!
Jack? Mommy won't lie to you, Jackie. Mommy won't hurt you. I'd never hurt you. Hey, open this door! Oh, God. Susan! Please, open the door!
We all get that Doey is a lost and broken monster, completely unable to trust anyone because each of his personalities is living its own life. And that horrifying moment when he transforms into that salamander-like nightmare, yeah, that perfectly illustrates just how torn apart he really is. Since Doey has literally lost everything that ever mattered to him, I've got a strong feeling that he will be the one to plant the bombs and blow up the Foundation while we keep the prototype distracted. And chances are, when Playtime Co. finally goes up in flames, Doey will go down with it, sacrificing himself for us and forever being remembered as a true hero. And while things with Doey are more or less clear now, the situation with the two main antagonists of Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 is way more intriguing. Mommy Longlegs definitely won't return in the form we're used to seeing her in, but there's a chance the prototype didn't take her for no reason, meaning we might see her again, just in a slightly different form. But when it comes to Catnap, things get even more interesting. The circumstances of his death, or maybe his survival, which still haunt me to this day. Take note of how this so-called incident unfolded. At first glance, it seems like the prototype's claw pierced Catnap's head completely, and it looks pretty obvious, but this is mob entertainment we're talking about. They're capable of anything, as we saw with Huggy. But take a closer look. Now, once more, the prototype's claw hits precisely the center of Catnap's mouth, and despite the blood, you can clearly see that no vital organ, specifically the brain or the arteries carrying blood from the neck, has been damaged. This makes it quite possible that Catnap survived, and as a result, his return in Chapter 5 is very likely. I know this might sound crazy, but you remember we're dealing with the prototype and his labs. And as always, I'm waiting for your thoughts in the comments. Who do you believe has the highest chance of survival? And who would you love to see in Chapter 5? That's it for this video. See you soon!